How do you model this? I would start with a plane, switch to the top view, and go into edit mode. First, I'll add a loop cut and position it here. Then I'll add 2 more loop cuts here, followed by 1 loop cut right in the center. Next, I'll select these faces, press inset, and turn off boundary. After that, I'll move these vertices slightly along the y-axis. Now I'll select these faces and move them slightly downward on the z-axis. I'll also move this edge down a little on the z-axis to start defining the shape. Then I'll add a loop cut here, straighten it, and add another loop cut over here. I'll straighten this one as well and move it slightly on the y-axis. After that, I'll move these vertices slightly upward on the y-axis. Next, I'll add another loop cut here, select these edges, and scale them slightly on the x-axis. Now I'll inset these faces, scale these edges a little more on the x-axis, and extrude these faces slightly downward on the z-axis. Then I'll delete these faces and scale these edges slightly on the y-axis. Now I'll go back to object mode, add a Bezier circle, and rotate it 90 degrees on the x-axis. I'll add an array modifier to our mesh and set the count to 6. Then I'll add a curve modifier and use the Bezier circle as the target object. After that, I'll scale the circle until everything aligns properly. Once I'm happy with the result, I'll apply all the modifiers and delete the curve. Back in edit mode, I'll select everything and use merge by distance. Now I'll select this edge, extrude it slightly on the y-axis, extrude it again, scale it inward, then extrude it once more, scale it inward again, and fill the center. Next, I'll add a few loop cuts to maintain clean topology. I'll select this edge and bevel it with 1 segment and a profile of 1. Then I'll select this edge, extrude it, scale it inward, make it circular, disable regular, select everything, and use merge by distance again. I'll extrude it 1 more time, scale it inward, extrude it on the y-axis, and fill. Next, I'll bevel these edges. Then I'll add 5 loop cuts here. Select these faces and inset. After that, I'll select everything once again and use merge by distance, setting the distance to 0.0021. Now I'll select inset these, make them circular, and extrude them on the y-axis. Finally, I'll go back to object mode, add a bevel modifier, change the width type to absolute, and set the angle to 0 degrees. Then I'll add a subdivision surface modifier, shade everything smooth, and now our revolver cylinder is done. Did you like the video? Follow me to stay updated for more Blender tutorials and modeling tips.